All right, welcome back. Yes, indeed, we'll be turning our attention to Kano pretty soon. But just to also let you know that the Senate Committee, the Joint Senate Committee on Finance, Banking, Insurance, and Financial Institutions began the interactive session with the economic management team that includes the officials of the Central Bank of Nigeria, led by the CBN governor, as you've seen there. So that meeting is going on with that Senate Committee on Finance, Banking, Insurance, and Financial Institutions. So we'll get you more details of this meeting as we get them.
And of course, a lot of engagements, beg your pardon, a lot of engagements going on right now on the rising cost of food, inflation, and all of that. So a lot happening right now in that meeting. Yeah, so Dr. Sani Abdullahi Shinkafi joins us from our studios in Kano. He is a former chairman committee on prosecution of bandits-related offenses. He joins us there. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on the program today. So, yes.
Good morning, Chamberlain.
Thank you. So, some information came through from Kano as well about some persons not exactly being happy, just as we've seen in different parts of the country, about what needs to be done concerning this rising cost of living, security, also part of the question. You have played a role while you were in Zamfara to ensure that things go well. So let's start with you giving us a broad perspective, because the federal government have responded. They have ordered the federal government now, the president has directed release of grains from the strategic reserves and taking several other measures. So give us your broad perspective of how you see this response fitting in to what the people are asking.
The economic hardship across the country is itching all segments of our people, both in the rural area and also in the cities. Going by what is happening, there is a protest in Kogi State, in Niger State, in some part of Abuja. Yesterday in Kano, people are protesting higher cost of living and the economic hardship. So with what we have at hand, there is need for good economic policies. There is need for Mr. President to step in as a matter of urgency to subsidize the economic hardship. So yesterday, Mr. President have approved the release of 42,000 metric tons of assorted commodities, rice, maize, millet, and gari. And also the Rice Millers Association of Nigeria has promised to release 60,000 metric tons of rice to the Nigerian public from their various warehouses or stores. Looking at the security situation also in the country, one of the menace or the root cause of the economic hardship, hunger and starvation, disease, is the escalation of armed banditry, kidnapping for ransom, robbery, displacement of these rural farmers who abandon their farms to farm, forest border, proliferation of small and lighter arms, lack of good economic policies, lack of good monetary and fiscal policies, because the essence of National Economic Council is to advise Mr. President on economic issues.
So, Mr. Shikafi,
domestically,
and just internationally. A minute. Let me just jump in and ask you.
So that is need.
Just a minute, if you can hear me. From what you've seen of the strategies being implemented, can you hear me, Dr. Shinkafi?
Yeah, the strategy which the government implemented is an interim by ordering the release of grains.
No.
From the
I'm talking about security now. Let me talking about security. From the ministers of defense, the approach that they are coming through with, having been in states where there was security challenge in time past before they assumed office now, do you see that wealth of experience coming to bear with the policies and strategies that they are adopting?
Well, we have seen just last week the Minister of Defense have launched a jet fighter, and this terrain where these terrorists and armed bandits hide out in their various camp is a very difficult terrain. So the security personnel need to be fully equipped with modern technology that will make them to fight this crime and criminality in their various hideout. With what is happening in Nigeria is epidemic armed banditry and escalation of armed banditry across these geopolitical zones. In the west, in the south, in the north, in all segments of the society. So the approach, the military or the personnel, security personnel, need to be fully equipped, fully motivated for them to tackle this issue of insecurity.
Mr. Shinkafi, I want to talk to you. Mr. Shinkafi, can you hear us?
I'm hearing you very well.
All right, so I want you to take you up on something that we heard the Speaker of the House of Representatives talk about yesterday when it comes to security. The justification of the amount of money that is spent on security in the country. The question in the minds of many Nigerians is a lot of money is put into security, but it doesn't feel like it's translating into a more secure country. What do you think should be done right now? How can we justify the amount of money that is being spent on security if Nigerians are still feeling this way?
It is very unfortunate. For the first 12 years in the national budget, national security and defense took a lion's share in the national budget. Yet, there's something to write home about. There should be a forensic audit on this money appropriated to this security and defense in the annual budget. That is what we call in the financial account. That is performance audit. That should be a performance audit, compliance audit, and also a forensic auditing to make sure that these funds which were allocated in the national budget, which is a taxpayer's money, should be judiciously utilized in the fight against crime and criminality.
I mean, so, just so we can also, there's a story that we're actually even seeing right now. Of course, you talked earlier about the protests going on. You said there was protests in Kano. We're actually seeing what people are describing as a spiritual protest going on right now in Yobe State. Are there fears, that these protests could, get a little bit more, unsafe? Is that something that, people are asking, is this something that we should be a little bit more worried about? If there's hunger and insecurity and then we add these protests to it, are we, in danger of creating a volatile situation?
You see, the issue of this protest has a serious negative effect on the part of the government, because this thing can turn to be violence, and this thing can cause a lot of hitches in running of government. Because if there is no proper management of the protest, then God forbid, it may turn to bloody, because some people, some criminal element or some politicians can hijack the protest and turn it to be a chaos. And at the end of the day, we have an anarchy in the country. So the government and the security agencies there should be proactive measures and to curtail this issue of protest. I'm not saying that they don't have right to protest. Constitutionally, Nigeria has the right of freedom of assembly and association. But government has to be very careful to study the situation because the economic hardship, the purchasing power of the Nigerian currency is seriously, it's crazy low. So if you look at the present economic hardship, poverty, unemployment, low bonfire harvest, because of these activities of criminals and bandits that externally and internally display these peasant farmers from their farmland in the community. Like where I come from in Zamfara State, for you to go to palm, to cultivate your palm during the rainy season or dry season, this armed bandit will enforce levies and taxes in millions of naira. And when also you plant your crops, and it is time for harvest for you to harvest, they will also impose another levies to the farmers. So that was even one of the contributing factors that bring the food insecurity in the country. And there is need for the government to step in and fight these criminals. So the government should...
Yeah. So while you were in Zamfara and you headed up committee to prosecute bandits and other related offenses, you know, you kept on saying that there were politicians that were involved at the time. Now, we do have one of the ministers of defense who was well-versed in this matter at the time. So from the kind of cases you've seen us report in this country about this kind of kidnapping, is there any indication whatsoever that is a similar narrative that politicians may be involved, or these are just criminal elements? How do you suggest we approach this?
Well, you see, politicians, there is good, bad, and ugly politicians. So for some politicians to climb into the mantle of the power, there's nothing they cannot do to cripple the present government or any government of the day. So what I'm saying, what is happening in Zamfara, we have a minister of state who happens to be a former governor, who happens to be a former chairman of security and intelligence in the House of Representatives. He has known the root cause of insecurity of this armed banditry. When we did a committee for finding lasting solution to armed banditry related offenses in Zamfara State, headed by Inspector General of Police, we have given recommendation to the government how to remedy the situation, both the short term and long term and medium term. That is the issue of peace dialogue with the bandit, granting amnesty to the bandit, then the bandits to surrender their arms, and a lot of remedies were granted to the government. Some of the recommendations governor have implemented, that is by all the lands allocated for the past 20 years was revoked. All the farmlands, all the grazing reserve, forest reserve, and other lands illegally allocated. So there is many ways to fight this thing if the personnel are fully motivated, fully equipped. As I'm talking to you now, in the first state, there is no functional, put it on record, functional APC personnel carrier vehicle. And this terrain is a very difficult terrain. You cannot go there and fight there with a beer putted or with Helios vehicles or with motorcycles. And you need a jet fighter and the ground troop to fight these criminals in the hideout.
Well, while it is that, Mr. Shinkafi, while it is that we're waiting for, I imagine that the governor of the state will also be looking to invest a lot in equipment. We know that only recently he launched like a vigilante force to try and combat this particular situation, a civilian kind of thing. We're still running away from state police, from the entire country allowing and permitting state police within the Constitution. For how much longer do you think we can run away from this, given the fact that a lot of state governments now think that this is the way to go? And maybe they're not wrong, because if you look at what happened in Borno State with the insurgency, when they actually made progress was when the civilian JTF was involved. So for how much longer do you think that the states can run away, or even the National Assembly can run away from legislating on state policing?
Well, you see the issue of this vigilante group or security outfit by state government, I foresee danger on it. And also, the creation of this security outfit has clearly demonstrated that there is failure of the security apparatus at the center. It shows the weakness of the federal government to fight this crime and criminality, because the responsibility of fighting crime and criminality lies with the federal government. And Mr. President at the center is the Commander-in-Chief of Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. All these armed forces are directly under the office of Mr. President. So for state government to engage in recruiting, commissioning, equipping this private militia or vigilante group, or for all the legislation for establishment of those security outfits, these governors can use these militias or security outfit during electionary campaign or during an election, which may also bring a violence or a chaos in a country, Nigeria. So for governors to engage on this security, private security outfit, I think it is better that it should be a constitutional amendment to give room for state police. And equally, we have not the role played by the civilian JTF in the fight against Boko Haram terrorists in the southeast or in Maiduguri or in Borno State. Yet, in other part of the state, other part of Nigeria, there is Amotoku, there is Eastern State Security Network, there is Askara, Zamfara, even Katsina State. But government has to be very careful. The federal government has to be very careful. And it's a clear demonstration and a slap to the security personnel in Nigeria upon all the money appropriated in the national budget. It shows that the Mr. President has a matter of urgency to declare a state of emergency on security and also a total overhaul of the security apparatus in the country.
Mr. Shinkafi, would you really say that it is a slap or, a misunderstanding or a misconception on the part of all of us in the very first instance that we thought that security could be fought or insecurity can be fought in a helicopter manner, when we know that security matters are always local and that there is no way you can fight insecurity without the involvement of the local people? So in the very first instance, weren't we building castles in the air when we weren't allowing state police or state policing be a part of our constitution in the fears that, it could be utilized, it could be misused, etc.? Isn't that what we're now resorting to with all of these local vigilantes?
As I have said to you, the local vigilante is the creation of the Act of State House Assembly. But for the governors to engage on creation or establishment of the local vigilante group in the state, it may have some negative effect in the society. Because some of the governors who want to remain in power by hook or by crook can use this militia to fight the political opponent in the state. And there should be a clear terms and condition attached from the office of the National Security Advisor, office of Director General of DSS, Inspector General of Police, and even from the Chief of Defense Staff to spell out how they are going to operate, the modus of operation. If not, then they will step out of their boundary and start causing havoc in the society. The local vigilante, I'm not saying I'm against it, should be used for security and intelligence gathering in their various communities. Some of these even local vigilante are aiding and abetting armed banditry, kidnapping, blood letting and killings in their various communities. In the present where I come from, in our report, there is one single person, one single vigilante who killed more than 70 Fulani headsmen in the first state in Marado local government. And he's there roaming about, and he was arrested by police and later granted on bail, and he's there as a free man. So sometimes you just go and attack without any reason. You cannot say any Fulani man by extraction is a bandit or is an armed robber. You cannot say anybody you see on the road that he's a criminal unless and otherwise it was proved beyond reasonable doubt. So if the situation has gone to this level, it is better the National Assembly should call for constitutional amendment to insert the state police, because state police are not directly under even the state governor. They are still under the Office of Inspector General of Police during Shehu Shagari regime.
Well, Mr. Shinkafi, the reference that, let me follow up on Malque's question to you about the fact that all insecurity is, first of all, local. One of the ways that the constitution, the laws of the land and our political or democratic structure has positioned it is to empower the local government system to be able to do some of these things themselves. I'd like you to speak to that from your experience as a former chairman of the Committee on Prosecution of Bandits, knowing that these bandits, so to speak, are in various localities. They are in each local government. They are known by the people in their communities one way or the other. But there is nothing they can do now, some will say, because the local government administrations are not independent enough by themselves to be able to take action, organize their own security meetings, convoke a meeting with the CDAs, with the monarchs, that's the traditional rulers, and the council of the local government authorities. Is that something that is significant in line with what you said about state police?
You see, the local government council chairmen are financially handicapped. The joint account, which is enacted or in the Nigerian constitution, has made the state governors to deny the local government councils their funds. So if the local governments are financially independent, then I think it will help in this fight against insecurity in their various localities. You see, in a month, a local government chairman in my own state, where I come from, cannot have an impress of 5 million naira as an operational cost in the whole local government with a population of more than 300 population density. So the local government cannot support the security personnel in his local government area. Some of the security personnel, they will tell you, say there's an armed banditry attack, let's say in Kuria or in Kwari in Shinkafi local government. They need to fuel their car, they need to service their car, they need to give their allowances. And the local government chairman will be hiding or will be putting his number busy because he has nothing to give. And these traditional rulers also in their various domain, they don't get
point. Yeah, we need to anchor at that point. We actually do hear you. Dr. Sani Abdullahi Shinkafi is the former chairman, Committee on Prosecution of Bandits-Related Offenses. Thank you very much indeed for your time. He joined us from our studios in Kano.